So in that sense, I was feeling pretty confident. But obviously, my only concern, this is my biggest thing, was I was just feeling terrified that I would mess up. I was just like,
aren't we all?
Yeah, man.
I have nightmares about that shit, man.
All I could think about was like, don't mess up. That's all I could think about. Because it was such a huge opportunity, and it would suck to come out this far and then just not and like fail the trick. So I didn't really care how I was going to perform. I didn't really care about all of those things. I just was like, just execute. Just make sure you don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I think the day, I slept reasonably well the night before, which is surprising. You know, I slept like pretty much the whole night. Our call time was 10 a.m. and I was slated to perform at around 3:30 p.m. So we went to the workshop area, just hung out there. It was really interesting because there are all these, so they did 2 shows on filming days. So they did 4 performers in the morning show, and then 4 performers in the evening show. That's how they make it work, right? And we had a bit of a rehearsal in the morning as well, which was nice. And the people who were performing in my set of 4 were me, this wonderful lady from Australia called Helen Coughlin. She's fooled them 3 times as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's the one who organized the Gold Coast convention.
She's not the one with the heart trick, is she?
I don't know.
Again, I'm bad with names. I'll have to look her up. But yeah, that's right.
And you know how like magicians get showgirls, like wearing like scantily, like nothing and like dancing. So she got like for her thing, she got like these like male stripper dudes, like gigantic buff ass. I think they have a show in Vegas called Thunder Down Under.
Right.
They're like Australian, like super hot, like big buff Australian dudes, and they have that energy about them as well.
Yeah.
So it was me and these like Australian dudes, and her and a couple of other magicians hanging out in that workshop area. And I was the last performer of that group. So I saw all of them go up, do their thing, they leave, and so it was me and the and the whole time I
just imagine you like getting your time wrong, so you walk up with the male stripper dudes, and like, you know, you're like, oh fuck, I'm on camera, all right, it's live TV, all right, I got to do something, and you start moving.
I look like a child in front of them, dude, like a 10-year-old, and they look, man, it was just very like
they're all roided up. It's great. Yeah, I love it. Gotta love it.
And the whole time what I was doing, this is like one of the like, I think beautiful parts of that whole experience for me. I think for at least 2 hours straight, I was just pacing and listening to this mantra that my grandmother taught me when I was really young. And I was just in that zone, just doing that the whole time, just to sort of like, I don't know, I guess spiritually prepare myself for what was about to happen. And yeah, so, and I like what I would, and throughout this whole week as well, every time I felt like it, I would just practice my routine. I set myself like a daily target of 20 rehearsals. So I would rehearse 20 times.
That's a lot more than people think.
Yeah, because if it's a 5-6 minute act, 6 times 20, that's 120 minutes. Mm-hmm. And like if you're gonna like rehearse 20 times, it's like 2.5 hours, 3 hours of rehearsal every day, minimum. Yeah. And I mean, I just had to work that hard. I just felt like if I didn't work that hard, I just would not be satisfied with my prep. In hindsight, I think I worked too hard, to be honest, but that's hindsight, you know, that's only hindsight can tell you that. And so then what happens is you're downstairs, they take you up via lift to the, just outside the theater. And then they put you in this production room where the post-production people are working on like, you know, those like interview things in the start of that. Oh yeah, that also happened the night before. So they filmed my whole interview thing. Mm-hmm. That was a really cool experience, actually. I'll talk about that later. Where like they do the little tricks and stuff. That whole thing where they ask you questions. The intro and the That actually, I like, to be fair, didn't quite enjoy, because the guy who was doing that thing for me, he's just like had this whole angle that he wanted to focus on.
Which they would.
That's and I think that wasn't the best representation of me, but it represented me like authentically enough for me to be okay with it. Yeah. Anyways, we can talk about that later. Man, so I'm practicing my trick just because it's like 5 minutes before I go on, and I'm just like, this is the moment, right? And I'm just practicing it, and until now I've not messed up at all.
Oh, here we go.
And just before going on 5 minutes, I mess up. I'm doing an Emsley count. I'm doing an Emsley count route. It's like, something like this, where like those, I'm like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and what was like you've seen the trick, and there's marks that I draw, and the thing is, the whole time I was practicing in New Zealand, I was using my own marker, but that marker was not. This whole production thing, you can't show that brand marker. They don't have permission to show that marker's brand on.
This is the start of the nightmare, bro. Like, I mean, I know it went well, so I'm like, I'm not too stressed, but like, this is where like, in your head when you're performing or you're practicing, and you're like, I hope it all goes well. I hope this is the shit that plays in my head. I'm like, what if like 2 cards stick together, and then just my mind starts fucking spiraling. I know exactly what this is.
Exactly.
Go for it.
So,
oh god.
The new marker they gave me was the ink was really liquid.
Liquid
and it
ink didn't stick.
And so what happens? So the ink would just make the 2 cards stick, and so man, like I had to make sure I like blew the fuck out of that ink when I drew those marks, just to make sure that the like I could do that without the cards sticking. But yeah, I mean, good thing I messed up in there. Rather than on stage.
But yeah, those fucking variables that you just never think about, and then all of a sudden you're just fucked up in front of 3,000 people. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man, on international camera and shit.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh.
So yeah, I went on. I remember like waiting outside the just before to go in to the theater, and there's this like security guard, this like big ass dude just looking at me. And I'm like holding my like close up pad and like my magic stuff, and like looking nervous as fuck. And he's like, "How are you feeling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty nervous." And then I was like, "Hey man," I asked him, I was like, "Is this your job? Like just to like look at people get super nervous before before going on stage?" He's like, "Yeah, pretty much."
That's why I get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. And so then I walked in to the stage. The person before me finished performing. She had fooled them. They don't let you know. They don't let the next performer know whether the previous performer fooled them or not, just so you don't get nervous or whatever.
So you don't hear anything that's happening on stage?
You can hear like crowd reacting and stuff, but that's it. You could hear the crowd reacting even from the workshop in the downstairs area. So yeah, I walk in, I can see like they didn't do a very good job of hiding the fact that she fooled them. So you could see that. And then the crew starts working for the next act. So the crew's already like they've rehearsed with you before, so they know like the whole process. They're gonna like they know what they need to bring on stage. They know what they need to take out. It's all like works like clockwork. It's a really like professional, well-oiled machine. And most of the crew, I spoke to them quite a bit throughout the whole process. And most of the crew had been working on the show for like 4 or 5 seasons. So they all knew each other really well, and there was a really well-oiled machine. They like it was working really, really like beautifully. So yeah, I walk on. I see Ben sitting over there, gives me a huge smile, which made me feel really good. And Teller was on the stage. He was just walking off the stage just to sort of this thing. He gave me like a little like namaste. Like, all right, Teller, namaste.
Oh God.
And yeah, I see them. The crowd is there. And, generally in my past when I've expected to be on a stage, any kind of stage, I'm always a little bit nervous about the stage. And then when I go and see the stage, I'm like, oh, okay, it's not as big as I thought it would be. But in the case of Penn and Teller Theatre, that's the opposite. I remember just walking on stage and just seeing how like fancy everything was. And I remember looking up and just, like leaning my head up like that. And all I could see was seats.
Jesus.
And it was just such a overwhelming atmosphere. And Alison Hannigan obviously is there. Just like the whole, and then the camera starts like, they just get into it really. Like they didn't even ask me if I was ready. They just like, because they were expecting me to be ready, like, and I was ready. But obviously, you need a moment to just sort of get yourself, bearings and just like realize what you're doing. And I remember Michael Close telling me the day of the rehearsal, he was like, these 5-6 minutes of your performance are going to go by so quickly, you're not going to remember anything. So just make sure before you start, you take a deep breath and you just settle yourself and like just enjoy the experience as much as you can. And so that was my focus, trying to do that. But despite the extreme nervousness I was feeling at that point. And and then Alison Hannigan walks it was like rehearsed in such a way that she would walk to me and with the previously pre-selected host of the show, we have Dev Sherman, and then the camera would come on me and I would begin the process. And I really just don't remember
much after.
No, I remember I obviously have seen it now, I know that this thing, but I just remember just going through it and just that relief that I felt the second. Oh, dude, there's this moment before the end, the end of the trick where I don't reveal the end of the trick, but there's this fear that I often had throughout the process of that trick was I hope I got the right card. Because even though it's foolproof, more or less, there's still that, I guess, it depends on a very subtle part of the trick where I have to make sure that my eyes saw that part properly. And I had a feeling that I'd got it wrong.
Oh, man.
I had a feeling that I hope I got it right. It was just I hope I got it right. And I remember just really hoping against hope that when I turn that card over, it says the right card. And luckily it did. It did. But I just remember feeling extreme relief. I've never felt relief like that in my life.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. You let's say you peek a card or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's you didn't quite see it. Yeah. But you're pretty sure you know what the fuck you saw. And you're well, and if that's what your whole trick lands on, you're oh God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
So luckily it was the right card.
My palms are sweaty right now. I swear to God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was terrifying. That was just that moment. And then that relief was just a roller coaster. And then, we had the interview, post-thingy interview, as soon as after you finish performing. I remember just feeling really great at that point. I have no idea what I said. I just remember feeling so blank, completely blank.
Yeah, you're I don't give a fuck if I fooled you guys. I did the trick, babe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I also remember what's the word for it? If you watch the video, you'll see my face when he's talking to me, and you can just see that I have no idea what he's saying. My face is completely blank. There's no emotion, nothing. I'm just I don't know. It's completely. I actually don't remember a single word he said to me throughout that whole process. But I remember just looking out for what he would he would say that would know that I didn't fool them. Just that. I was just looking for I just knew there'd be a couple of things he would say that if he says this, then he didn't fool me. But he didn't say that. So I was they didn't obviously, luckily, thankfully, they didn't show. Often in Fooler, sometimes the guy goes I don't think you got it right.
Yeah.
I was one of those people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I did it very sweetly. So I was yeah, I think you got most of it, except for the 5 of diamonds part. I don't know about the 5 of diamonds. And then they went into their deliberation again. And it's a very awkward moment. Even Alison Hannigan was I don't know what to say. She was and I remember just saying it's okay. I'm fine not fooling you. If you think you got it, you got it. And then in his discussion, I could just hear, they were not that far away, Penn and Teller, Penn just saying something which was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I was I heard him say, and I was oh, I heard you. You got it. You got it. And then they were all happy. And then it's they just redid that last part of me just being
I heard you got it. Yeah, nice.
And then I walked off stage and I got to say hello to Penn and Teller. It was very brief. Teller was just good job, man. And he just looked a little bit angry, actually. Because I think he'd just been fooled by the previous thing. And I don't think they were happy about being fooled by them. They take it very seriously, apparently, the whole fooling thing. Teller was just good job, man. And he just literally walked away. Same with Penn. He is so tall. Penn is I think he could reach that light.
Jesus.
He was just gigantic. I just remember looking up and be hello. And nice to meet you. He didn't even look at me. He was just nice to meet you and just walked away. Classic celebrity, this thing. But
thank you for watching this highlight of the Eduard Todor podcast. All right. There's more where that came from. So click on this channel, click around. You can see more highlights anywhere you want to see. They are pretty obviously wherever they are on the screen. YouTube's probably suggesting them to you because we've hit the algorithm, baby. We hit it. All right. If you want to see the full episode, links in the description or on the screen, actually. I don't know where shit is, man. It's all here, all right? It's all here. You know how this game goes. You've seen enough YouTube at this point. I don't have to tell you. But what I will tell you is please like this video. Helps the algorithm. Subscribe, notification bell, all the rest of the things. Do all the things.